New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you here on a Tuesday morning, New Thought Media Network. This is The Growing Edge, and it's an opportunity to come together and I just realized I got a little thing on my hair there. Didn't like that. Come together and explore the growing edge of consciousness. Those that know me know I'm a very big proponent of the visioning process, and in the visioning process we have that question: what am I becoming, or what are we being called to become in order to serve this vision? And I often refer to that as the growing edge. And so if you're watching, thank you. If this is your first time with us, no real agenda here. Other than I get to share with you a bit of the process, I guess, and sometimes the practices that I use and go through to stay centered in this philosophy, to stay grounded in this philosophy and in a belief of positivity and oneness and connect and new thought, the new thought philosophy. And this morning, it's kind of a tough day in our neighborhood. I live in Arvada, Colorado. If you don't follow the news or haven't heard, or and not necessarily any reason why everybody should have, but maybe there's a reason everybody should. One of our community police officers was killed yesterday in a gunfight in a shopping district that is a small, quaint little area, much beloved by so many. And 3 people are dead at the end of more gun violence. And I don't want to talk about, this half hour, this time together is not about talking about what happened and here's what we know and here's what we don't know and here's what could be and here's what we should do and here's what we shouldn't do. And it's not about solving problems. And yeah, we want to solve problems. We want to figure all that stuff out, but it isn't about just, this is what went wrong. And now, for me personally, to top it all off, it's my son's birthday, my firstborn. It's his birthday. And, every parent understands the significance of that and what that was like when you got to go through that experience. And so today is meant to be a day of celebration of his life, his experience thus far, and what's in front of him and what he's got to look forward to. And yet we have that juxtaposition of, a rather somber day in our community. A rather somber day, and there's, if you don't believe in collective consciousness, you're in the wrong place, because there's definitely a heavy collective consciousness around Arvada today. You can feel it, and I can only imagine that down in Old Town where this happened, it's got to be even heavier today. Because this strikes at the core of something deeper. So, without making it all wrong, what's the growing edge, right? What's the place of becoming in the face of all of this? Am I to become more compassionate for the ones that feel like their troubles can be solved at the end of a gun? We don't even know that that's what this was. We do know that that someone somewhere feels separate from source enough that this experience came forward into actuality. That's a tough place to be. And as the community begins to reconnect, and people are already sharing story, already talking, this happened truthfully directly across the street from a favorite restaurant of mine with my favorite tables that looks out and lets you watch what's going on the street. And I know a lot of people that feel that way. The officer involved was a resource officer at my youngest son's middle school. A lot of people being impacted, a ripple effect that's washing across this community. And each one of us are going to need to come to our own understanding, our own realization, our own healing around how we perceive this, what we make of this, what we want to believe about this. For me, and I know for many, the tough part is not having the answers. Because until we have some kind of, this is what was going on, folks. Well, that's the unknowing place, the place of you can't begin to process what we don't, when we don't know what actually went down. But I can stay open. And herein lies what my morning contemplations have reminded me of today. We live in a world of both and. It is both a sorrowful day here, and it is a day for celebration here. It is a day to honor a fallen life, and it is a day to celebrate and honor a rising life, a growing experience of life. Opportunities for each of us, truly, to dedicate ourselves, to the people we want to be, to the community we want to be. And thank you, Terry. I believe there are options on the table. There are discussions we can all have. And in some way, I don't quite feel like rushing into that just yet today. Now, I know I have in the past. I know that I have been one to say, okay, let's, hey, here's an idea. Is today not the day? Today's not the day to have this conversation about guns. And maybe tomorrow's the day to have a conversation. No, tomorrow's not the day to have a conversation about guns anymore either. And, there used to be this excuse that we can't have this conversation about guns because we're mourning the latest. Not big on victimhood. The latest victims of mass shootings. A victim in a shooting is much different than victimhood. Please hear that. Luckily, there were the three involved yesterday are all participants in what went down. And the police have described the participants as an officer, a suspect, and a Samaritan. All three of which are no longer with us. That toll is too heavy, people. The toll is way too heavy. But we have to be in this place of the both and. Okay, I mourn and I celebrate. I stand and I say no more. And I'm willing to listen to those that have contrary opinions and perspectives than I do. I believe there can be a system of both and that allows those that I believe mistakenly find security by having a pistol on their hip or several, or a gun in their purse or anywhere on their person. But if that's where you are, then it's not my job to make you wrong. But I do believe we have a responsibility to make sure that you're capable of operating that machinery. You need a license, registration, and insurance to operate a vehicle. You need to be highly trained. You need to be licensed. I am sure insured to fly an airplane. And registered. You have to have all of these things to operate machinery. A gun is a machine. I believe there is room, there is a way. I believe it's a mandate from on high to begin registering, licensing, and insuring gun ownership, and working to eliminate unregistered weapons on our streets. And I believe there needs to be a way to ensure that people, now we don't know this is the case here yet, but we do, but I have to also believe that anyone that believes the solution is at the end of the gun would benefit from some mental health counseling, and probably some emotional health counseling, and most likely some spiritual health counseling, however you want to label it. I don't want to make, we don't even know what instigated all of this. I don't want to make anyone wrong. But I think it's a mistaken idea to believe that we'll find the solution with a weapon. And those are the people we need to help. Those are the people we need to get to. Those are the people that need this message more than anyone. The message that it can be okay. The message that there's a way forward, and that you're not unworthy. You're not being cast aside. That there's room for all of us. We have this thing, the global vision, right? We talk about it all the time. And I realize there's some things in here that I don't know where a world, I don't hear anywhere in this global vision a world free of guns, a world without guns, a world where there are no guns. I also don't see anything about knives, bow and arrows, or nuclear weapons either. But I do hear a lot of the things that would eliminate the sense of separation that leads us to believe that a gun is the answer. We envision a world where each and every person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging. A world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. If all those things are in place, why would we ever need a gun? If all those things are in place, we envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. Why would I ever need a gun? Why would I even need a hunt? Why would I need a rifle? We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. Why would I need a gun? We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. Why would I need a gun? We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. That one doesn't have anything to do about why we would need a gun, but it's this beautiful line, isn't it? We envision a world that works for all and for all of creation. Why would I need a gun? I believe there is a way forward where all people feel safe. This global vision we talk about, it's mighty. And those are just, what I shared there, that's just kind of like the second half. This is the demonstration. The first half is the consciousness we want to build. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collective we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. Why would I need a gun? We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discover the creative power of thought, a world where each and every person discovers his or her or their own power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. Why would I need a gun? If my life works and your life works and our lives work on alignment, why would anybody need a gun? We envision a world in which we honor and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life, a world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. If we're all one, why would I need a gun? There is a path forward, however. I don't know exactly where it leads and what it looks like, but I have absolute faith and trust that there is a path forward. From the healing of this community, for the healing of our collective consciousness, I believe there's a healing that's going to happen. Otherwise, I'm never going to get to eat at my favorite table again. And I don't want to envision that world. I envision a world where everyone feels safe, no matter what street, no matter what town, no matter what city, no matter what community, where we don't have to have a talk with our kids about paying attention to what people are wearing or what's going on, where kids can be kids and they can play in the fountains, where I can drop my kid off at the library and not ever have to wonder. That's freedom. That's true freedom. It came to me this morning in our prayer time together, from Juneteenth, Freedom Day, until July 4th, Independence Day. We must experience freedom in order to experience authentic and, I believe, true independence. Independence from the limiting beliefs, independence from the old way of thinking, independence from all the crap that doesn't work in our lives. All the stuff we've bought into, all the limits and limitations we've placed upon ourselves. We must experience freedom. Freedom from all that in order to experience true independence. This is a season, I believe, that is calling each of us to an even greater expression of life, an even greater expression of being in the world. And I think we have to do that from a loving heart, from a compassionate heart, not from the accusation, not from the condemnation, not from the making someone wrong. I've already witnessed speculation and, oh my gosh, around this experience. And what I know is it doesn't end in a day. We can't just pray it all away. That is not what this philosophy teaches, by the way. Ever feel like you're writing a Hallmark card? It's Sorry, not normally the rhyming type. But that's not what this philosophy teaches. We don't teach to just pray it all away and ignore it and pretend it didn't happen. We pray that we may personally experience a greater demonstration of wholeness, of oneness, of the everything that is our lives. I'm on the planet today. I'm still here today. Now, luckily, no one outside of the participants in what happened yesterday were injured, at least not physically. The mental and the emotional ramifications will continue, and there are those that are hurting in all those ways, beyond just the families, of the people involved. And we may be agents of change. No matter where you are, you may be an agent of change and an agent of healing. You may be you may be a part of the consciousness that says, okay, let's figure out what this is. And I recognize there's a good portion of our audience today is international, and I know that you may be in a place of saying there's not much I can do. I don't live in America. I can't call my congressman. I can't really affect change there. I can't. Yes, you may. Consciousness. Be in the consciousness that says something is changing, that we are growing as a human collective, and as a human embodiment. I know there are places on the planet that have already created demonstrations of gun-free societies. We know that's possible. The demonstration is already there. The model is already there. We already know what some of the pitfalls may be and what some of the challenges may be. We just have to have the gumption, the willingness, the commitment to make it happen. And I choose to be on that today, to be that, to be committed, to say yes. As a citizen of the United States, to stand and lobby and write letters and make phone calls, whatever feels like mine to do. And that doesn't come from the humanness, that comes from a deep spiritual conviction that we are all in this together. And if there is any one of us is not free, then none of us are free. If any one of us is still not free, we are all not free. We are all bound. We are all we are all one human family. And everywhere that a life makes that transition, we feel that. The collective feels that. We feel across, and the closer we are to the incident, the more it can hurt. And so today is a day to hug. To hug the ones you love. Give yourself a hug. To energetically, in consciousness, hug the first responders and those that are willing to step in the line of increasingly violent experiences out there. Be unconditionally compassionate to those that believe the solution lies at the end of the gun, because what we are learning more and more and more and more is that never seems to end well. Let's get guns off the street. Let's get people help they need. We know this officer had training in as a school resource officer, that I'm sure he didn't go in there all cowboy screaming and yelling and hoopla, and it wouldn't be his style. is a guy doing good in his community, and a veteran officer at that. We raise up in honor of Officer Gordon Beasley today. I raise up that prayer, and I have been since I learned his name yesterday, since we learned who he was late last night. My healing will continue. And my prayer is that we can stop this. We can say enough. This doesn't have to happen in your town. This doesn't have to happen in front of your favorite restaurant. This doesn't have to happen in front of the library where your kids play. But it's going to keep happening until we change our mind about it. Until we change our thinking, until we change our consciousness, until we call forth a world that works for everyone through peace and love. If you're with me, join me in prayer for just a brief moment. Being in that place of recognizing the oneness of life and knowing that what is occurring, what is happening in front of me right now, what I am moving through, what is happening in the world around me is the world of effects. It is not the truth of God's light, but it is a demonstration of the collective consciousness that is expressing itself onto the planet, into the planet through this creative process. So I choose to stand not as a vessel of victimhood, not as an avenue through which accusation and more harm occurs, but to stand as an avenue through which more love reveals itself, more compassion reveals itself, a deeper sense of listening and understanding reveals itself, a deeper commitment to be the hands and the heart of God, to be the vessel of change, to be the consciousness and the inspired action of creating a world that works for all. I rest in that knowing. Not knowing how, not knowing when, but absolutely knowing that the vibration, the creation, the word we are speaking here this day is rippling out into the law and must be returned fulfilled. So I claim freedom, I claim independence, I claim peace, I claim justice, I claim equity, I claim a world where everyone is awakening to their spiritual magnificence and everyone is working collectively in this world of creating a world, in this work of creating a world that works for all. And I let myself feel what I feel this day and transmute that into love. The restorative vibration of love. Not for the action, not for the actor. Love for the healing that I know is happening. And so it is. Thank you, dear ones, for joining me on my growing edge this day. We'll be back again next week with more. Who knows what it'll be? But I promise you it'll be real. And I promise you it'll be me. I love you. You're amazing. If I could, I'd reach out and hug every one of you right now. And that's not going to happen physically, so please feel my love and my hugs. Until next time, peace.